Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A specific size and style of type within a type family. An enveloping structure or covering enclosing an animal or plant organ or part. The enclosing frame around a door or window opening. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. A mental case. Printing. The receptacle in which a compositor has his type, which is divided into compartments for the different letters, spaces, or numbers. For English, a compositor will ordinarily have two such cases, the uppercase containing the capitals and the lowercase containing the small letters. The quantity contained in a case. The housing or outer covering of something. The clock has a walnut case. Bed linen consisting of a cover for a pillow. The burglar carried his loot in a pillowcase. A special set of circumstances. It may rain, in which case the picnic will be cancelled. An occurrence of something. It was a case of bad judgment. Enclose in, or as if in, a case. My feet were encased in mud. Nouns or pronouns are adjectives, often marked by inflection, related in some way to other words in a sentence. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. A person who is subjected to experimental or other observational procedures. Someone who is an object of investigation. The cases that we studied were drawn from two different communities. A glass container used to store and display items in a shop or museum or home. A person requiring professional services. A typical case was the suburban housewife described by a marriage counselor. A portable container for carrying several objects. The musicians left their instrument cases backstage. A problem requiring investigation. Perry Mason solved the case of the missing heir. A specific state of mind that is temporary. A case of the jitters. A statement of facts and reasons used to support an argument. He stated his case clearly. Look over, usually with the intention to rob. They men cased the house. The actual state of things. That was not the case. A contorted facial expression. A specific size and style of type within a type family. A pose, as in hostility or a competition. Jackson faced Smith in the boxing ring. The feelings expressed on a person's face. An angry face. A surface forming part of the outside of an object. Dew dripped from the face of the leaf. Be oriented in a certain direction, often with respect to another reference point, be opposite to. The building faces the park. The front of the human head from the forehead to the chin and ear to ear. He washed his face. Impudent aggressiveness. Deal with something unpleasant head on. He faced the terrible consequences of his mistakes. Present somebody with something, usually to accuse or criticize. He was faced with all the evidence and could no longer deny his actions. A part of a person that is used to refer to a person. He looked out at a room full of faces. A vertical surface of a building or cliff. Be opposite. The two sofas face each other. Cover the front or surface of. The building was faced with beautiful stones. Line the edge of a garment with a different material. Face the lapels of the jacket. Status in the eyes of others. He lost face. The general outward appearance of something. The face of the city is changing. The part of an animal corresponding to the human face. The side upon which the use of a thing depends, usually the most prominent surface of an object. He dealt the cards face down. The striking or working surface of an implement. Turn so as to expose the face. Face a playing card. Turn so as to face. Turn the face in a certain direction. Turn and face your partner now. A specific size and style of type within a type family. Bowl for baptismal water. A specific size and style of type within a type family. A plumbing fixture that provides a flow of water. A specific size and style of type within a type family. An enveloping structure or covering enclosing an animal or plant organ or part. A dress suitable for formal occasions. A protective covering, as for a knife or sword. The enclosing frame around a door or window opening. The casings had rotted away and had to be replaced. The housing or outer covering of something. The outermost covering of a pneumatic tire. A formal recommendation by a former employer to a potential future employer describing the person's qualifications and dependability. Requests for character references are all too often answered evasively. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. A real character. The inherent complex of attributes that determines a person's moral and ethical actions and reactions. Education has for its object the formation of character. An imaginary person represented in a work of fiction, play or film or story. She is the main character in the novel. A written symbol that is used to represent speech. The Greek alphabet has 24 characters. A characteristic property that defines the apparent individual nature of something. The radical character of our demands. An actor's portrayal of someone in a play. Engrave or inscribe characters on. Genetics. An attribute, structural or functional, that is determined by a gene or group of genes. Good repute. He is a man of character. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. A friendly eccentric. Not having a common center, not concentric. Eccentric circles. Conspicuously or grossly unconventional or unusual. Famed for his eccentric spelling. A person with an unusual or odd personality. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. The capable type. Identify as belonging to a certain type. Such people can practically be typed. Write by means of a keyboard with types. Type the acceptance letter, please. All of the tokens of the same symbol. The word element contains 5 different types of character. A small metal block bearing a raised character on one end produces a printed character when inked and pressed on paper. He dropped a case of type, so they made him pick them up. A subdivision of a particular kind of thing. What type of sculpture do you prefer? Biology. The taxonomic group whose characteristics are used to define the next higher taxon. Printed characters. Small type is hard to read. Printing. The receptacle in which a compositor has his type, which is divided into compartments for the different letters, spaces, or numbers. Printing. The receptacle in which a compositor has his type, which is divided into compartments for the different letters, spaces, or numbers. The quantity contained in a case. Remove the husks from. Hard outer covering or case of certain organisms such as arthropods and turtles. Come out better in a competition, race, or conflict. The exterior covering of a bird's egg. The housing or outer covering of something. A metal sheathing of uniform thickness, such as the shield attached to an artillery piece to protect the gunners. Use explosives on. The enemy has been shelling us all day. Create by using explosives. A very light, narrow racing boat. Ammunition consisting of a cylindrical metal casing containing an explosive charge and a projectile, fired from a large gun. A rigid covering that envelops an object. The satellite is covered with a smooth shell of ice. Fall out of the pod or husk. The corn shell. Hit the pitches of hard and regularly. He shelled the pitcher for 8 runs in the first inning. Look for and collect shells by the seashore. Remove from its shell or outer covering. Shell the legumes. The hard, largely calcareous covering of a mollusk or a brachiopod. The hard, usually fibrous outer layer of some fruits, especially nuts. The material that forms the hard outer covering of many animals. Bed linen consisting of a cover for a pillow. Bed linen consisting of a cover for a pillow. The burglar carried his loot in a pillowcase. Move obliquely or sideways, usually in an uncontrolled manner. Move stealthily. The ship slipped away in the darkness. The act of avoiding capture, especially by cunning. Bed linen consisting of a cover for a pillow. An unexpected slide. A flight maneuver. Aircraft slides sideways in the air. A slippery smoothness. A socially awkward or tactless act. A part, sometimes a root or leaf or bud, removed from a plant to propagate a new plant through rooting or grafting. Move out of position. A small sheet of paper. A receipt slip. An accidental misstep threatening, or causing, a fall. He blamed his slip on the ice. A minor inadvertent mistake usually observed in speech or writing or in small accidents or memory lapses, etc. A place where a craft can be made fast. Pass out of one's memory. Pass on stealthily. He slipped me the key when nobody was looking. Artifact consisting of a narrow flat piece of material. To make a mistake or be incorrect. A woman's sleeveless undergarment. Get worse. My grades are slipping. A young and slender person. He's a mere slip of a lad. Cause to move with a smooth or sliding motion. He slipped the bolt into place. Insert inconspicuously or quickly or quietly. He slipped some money into the waiter's hand. Move easily. Slip into something comfortable. Move smoothly and easily. The bolt slipped into place. Potter's clay that is thinned and used for coating or decorating ceramics. A phenomenon that follows and is caused by some previous phenomenon. He acted very wise after the event. A special set of circumstances. In that event, the first possibility is excluded. A phenomenon located at a single point in spacetime, the fundamental observational entity in relativity theory. Something that happens at a given place and time. A representative form or pattern. I profited from his example. Something to be imitated. An occurrence of something. But there is always the famous example of the Smiths. An item of information that is typical of a class or group. This patient provides a typical example of the syndrome. Punishment intended as a warning to others. They decided to make an example of him. A task performed or problem solved in order to develop skill or understanding. You must work the examples at the end of each chapter in the textbook. An occurrence of something. Another instance occurred yesterday. Clarify by giving an example of. An item of information that is typical of a class or group. Enclose in, or as if in, a case. My feet were encased in mud. Enclose in, or as if in, a case. Nouns or pronouns or adjectives, often marked by inflection, related in some way to other words in a sentence. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. Any entity that produces an effect or is responsible for events or results. Give rise to. Cause to happen or occur, not always intentionally. Cause a commotion. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. Cause to do. Cause to act in a specified manner. A series of actions advancing a principle or tending toward a particular end. They worked in the cause of world peace. A justification for something existing or happening. He had no cause to complain. Events that provide the generative force that is the origin of something. They are trying to determine the cause of the crash. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. Enhance the appearance of. This behavior doesn't suit you. Be agreeable or acceptable to. This suits my needs. A man's courting of a woman, seeking the affections of a woman, usually with the hope of marriage. Accord or comport with. This kind of behavior does not suit a young woman. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. The family brought suit against the landlord. A set of garments, usually including a jacket and trousers or skirt, for outerwear all of the same fabric and color. They buried him in his best suit. A petition or appeal made to a person of superior status or rank. Be agreeable or acceptable. This time suits me. Playing card in any of 4 sets of 13 cards in a pack. Each set has its own symbol and color. A flush is 5 cards in the same suit. Slang. A businessman dressed in a business suit. All the suits care about is the bottom line. A person who is subjected to experimental or other observational procedures. Someone who is an object of investigation. Stout-bodied, nearly tailless domesticated cavy, often kept as a pet and widely used in research. A branch of knowledge. Teachers should be well trained in their subject. Possibly accepting or permitting. The time is fixed by the director and players and therefore subject to much variation. A person who owes allegiance to that nation. A monarch has a duty to his subjects. Being under the power or sovereignty of another or others. Subject peoples. Make subservient, forced to submit or subdue. The subject matter of a conversation or discussion. He didn't want to discuss that subject. Something, a person or object or scene, selected by an artist or photographer for graphic representation. A moving picture of a train is more dramatic than a still picture of the same subject. A person who is subjected to experimental or other observational procedures. Someone who is an object of investigation. The subjects for this investigation were selected randomly. Some situation or event that is thought about. He had been thinking about the subject for several years. Cause to experience or suffer or make liable or vulnerable to. He subjected me to his awful poetry. Grammar. One of the two main constituents of a sentence. The grammatical constituent about which something is predicated. Likely to be affected by something. The bond is subject to taxation. Logic. The first term of a proposition. Make accountable for. He did not want to subject himself to the judgments of his superiors. A glass container used to store and display items in a shop or museum or home. A setting in which something can be displayed to best effect. It was a showcase for democracy in Africa. A glass container used to store and display items in a shop or museum or home.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.